Sup, freaks and geeks? It's the main man, Monstyr here, and this is the first ever episode of Monstyr Reviews, a show where yours truly reviews movies I personally dig, like horror, sci-fi, fantasy, kung fu, or 80s action. Today we're taking a look at a recently released British horror called Ghost Stories, which was written and directed by Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman, both making their feature film directorial debut. Oh, and it's based on a play written by Dyson. This one caught my attention because A, I like ghost stories, and B, it's called a throwback to 70s and 80s British anthology films, which I'm a huge fan of. Flicks like Asylum, Vault of Horror, and Tales from the Crypt, just to name a few. Our cousins across the pond perfected the horror anthology flick, and as far as ghost stories go, in my personal opinion, no one does it better. Unlike American flicks, which use tons of special effects and jump scares, the Brits like to use atmosphere, creepy music, and a well-written story to deliver their chills. Special effects are usually held back and only used for maximum impact. They tend to be more in line with the traditional ghost story. Tales that slowly build tension, keeping you on the edge until BAM! You shit your pants. Ghost stories follow that mold. So if that's not your thing, you probably want to hit stop now and maybe go watch one of those cats run from cucumbers videos. That's actually a thing. Like, really a thing. They're really afraid of cucumbers. Those long, green vegetable things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go ask your girlfriend. Anyway, aside from co-writing and directing, Andy Nyman also stars in this bad boy. The story follows Nyman's character, Professor Goodman, who is a TV skeptic that debunks paranormal frauds on his popular show. We learn from the rip via Goodman's narration that he became a skeptic due to his asshole religious fanatic father who tore his family apart and pushed him away from anything spiritual, and in turn led him to idolize a famous TV skeptic. After a successful debunking, Goodman receives a message from his former idol, who went missing a few years ago and was thought dead. Dude wants to talk to him, so off Goodman goes, as you do when your idol requests your presence, and when they meet, his idol informs him that he was wrong all these years and that ghosts actually exist. Which is probably not what Goodman wanted to hear from the man who basically shaped his life and profession. We learned that the change of heart is due to 3 cases he was never able to debunk and which haunt him to this day. Guess what happens next? He asks Goodman to investigate the cases and prove him wrong. Goodman agrees and sets out to interview each person the cases are based around. Each tells their story, and when Goodman reports back to his idol, the script totally flips. I mean, totally flips. What happens from that point on completely subverts expectations. What happens? Well, I can't really tell you more than that, because to do so would be to give spoilers and shit, and I don't do that. I fucking hate when reviewers spoil movies. However, I may be inclined to do a separate spoiler video if enough people request it. Enough being like, I don't know, 10? Yeah, let's say 10 people. This one requires a little unpacking, so I wouldn't mind tapping the well twice. So if you want a spoiler video, just say "spoil me, arsehole" in the comments, and if 10 or more do, I'll make the damn video. Moving on. What did I think of this flick? Initially, I was like, it's great up until he reports back to his idol, and shit goes bananas. Which seems to be the opinion of many, as the climax seems to be the biggest problem with this ditty. People complain that it makes no sense, or there's a total cop-out, like the filmmakers didn't know how to end this bitch. Upon reflection, I began to get it. I thought about the 3 tales and how they related to everything. It just all clicked together. I was like, alright, that's kind of awesome if that's the case. And when I researched the film for this review, which I do sometimes, I found that, yeah, that was what the filmmakers intended. Nice. This changed my entire view of the film, and I gotta say I dug it. It's different. I mean, it pulled me in with the promise of a ghost story and delivered, but, you know, it just wasn't how I thought it would, which is fine, because that's the entire point of the flick, apparently. I can't stress that enough. Dyson and Nyman knew exactly what the fuck they were doing and wanted to fuck with their viewers to prove a point, and in my opinion, they succeeded. The acting is all around solid. I mean, it's a British flick. Of course the acting is solid. Aside from Nyman, Martin Freeman, who you may recall as Bilbo Baggins from the Hobbit films, Paul Whitehouse and Alex Lothar also star. Freeman's the one that really shines here, though. Dude knows how to command the scene. The atmosphere is bleak and eerie, and as has been mentioned, very reminiscent of the flicks it pays homage to. There's both practical and CGI effects, but again, as I said, Brits are restrained when using them, and that's the case here. They're used sparingly, but when they appear, they work. Is there anything bad to say? I mean, I felt some scenes could have been trimmed a tad to help move things along, but other than that, I'm good. Is it scary? Well, asking me that is not a good idea, as very little scares me, but I will say that it's disturbing at points and creepy at other points. I mean, there's plenty of tension to go around, but it's nothing that'll shake you to the core. I mean, I'd love to recommend this to everyone, but not everyone's going to dig it. I mean, that's the truth. It's a slow burner, and there isn't a ton of action. This one's really about building story and intensity little by little, and I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. I'll put it like this. If you like the original Lady in Black or the original The Haunting, then this is something you want to peep. If you prefer supernatural tales that more resemble The Conjuring or Insidious, look elsewhere. You're not going to like this. At the end of the day, though, Ghost Story succeeds at carrying on a tradition of British horror of that magical era gone by known as the 1980s. It's not perfect, but it's interesting, and while I probably won't revisit it often, I'm def happy I gave it a go. And that'll about wrap up this episode of Monster Reviews. Don't forget, if you want a spoiler video, to comment below, and also like this shit if you liked it. And subscribe. Because, yeah. Rock on.